We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
As Swedenborg was pulled deeper into the intrigues of the Appalachian Enclave, he was introduced to a man of paramount standing within the organization, Congressman Francis Cade. Soon, they would strike a true friendship that would thoroughly complicate the coming years. When Mr. Cade had gotten wind of Secretary Eckhart's secret plans for the White Spring, he leaked the information to a colleague in Congress, Senator Samuel Blackwell. And before long, Eckhart was planning the liquidation of Francis Cade. He assigned the duty to none other than Swedenborg himself, an order which the Admiral knew his inability to refuse. In September 2077, on a rainy day in a deserted parking lot outside Watauga, Francis finally realized his death was near. With the barrel of John's pistol to his head, he begged his involuntary executioner to take care of his son, the young Henry Cade, a boy whom Swedenborg briefly met at the White Spring Gala. Moved by the last plea of his friend, Swedenborg took Henry under his wing, unbeknownst to Thomas Eckhart, upon whom Swedenborg had now sworn vengeance. On that fateful day, the 23rd of October, 2077, Swedenborg and his fleet were docked at Naval Station Mayport, Florida. They had been in Mayport on order from the Pentagon for several weeks. Due to the massive draft of troops to China, the National Guard and Army Reserve had been drained of personnel and resources, making the Marine Corps Fleet Force Atlantic the most organized and able force in the area. The Pentagon had tasked them with clamping down on the Free State, a Chinese-sponsored secessionist militia reaching all over the nation. The mission had been completed, with all Floridan sympathizers either turned to ash or put away for good. The fleet's orders were to restock and return home to Naval Station Norfolk at the next moment. Meanwhile, the contact from the Pentagon had started to grow scarcer, alluding to the coming catastrophe. On the 23rd of October, 2077, Swedenborg awoke to radio silence. Attempting to signal the Pentagon proved unsuccessful. Trying to signal Norfolk proved unsuccessful. And no other federal institution seemed to be reachable either. This ignited a cold sweat in Swedenborg. Something was very wrong. At approximately 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Naval Station Mayport's signal personnel received a mysterious call addressed to Fleet Admiral Swedenborg. Once the cold metal of the phone was against his ear, he heard a familiar voice. The Secretary of the Navy was on the line. The news the Secretary shared with him awoke a deep fear within Swedenborg's heart. The Pacific Fleet had reported sightings of unidentified submersibles outside the Californian coast. Only 8 hours earlier, and 3 hours later, NORAD had detected high-altitude aircraft above the Bering Strait. After uttering his final goodbye to his superior, he smashed the phone into its receiver, grabbing hold of the table as a nervous tremor came over him. Swedenborg's cold sweat had now turned his face into a bleak, almost faded remnant of its prior appearance. A dark shadow had come over it. He had also gained a minute shake throughout his hands. All in all, lending him the appearance of one of those homeless mentat addicts. Half an hour after the call had come in to him, half an hour of pacing in the seemingly shrinking office, his assistant entered with a stressed appearance, handing him a stack of paper. The report had come from the DIA and had been forwarded via a secure line for his eyes only. His dilated pupils hurriedly glanced over the page, skimming through the text, black on white. He read that American troops had breached the walls of the Forbidden City in Beijing.